Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched Survivor Season 40, Winners at War, Episode 1. I am so hyped up for this season. I was getting really hyped up for the season before watching this episode, even more hyped up having watched this 2-hour episode. So spoilers ahoy, if you have not seen this episode yet and you don't want to find out who won challenges, who is voted off, and all that stuff, then stop listening now. So I wasn't sure if this episode was going to be a double episode or just an hour and a half episode or what. But then while I was watching, I looked on the schedule and I saw that the next thing wasn't until 9 o'clock. I'm watching it in Denver, so it started at 7. And that got me super excited because it was right before the first tribal council happened. I was like, there's only like 8 minutes and the commercials just started. This is going to be a really short tribal council. Check the schedule. Okay, good. It's going to go all the way until another hour so that the tribal council doesn't have to wrap up before the hour continues, or before the top of the hour. So anyway, I hadn't been thinking a whole lot about this season. I thought about it just a little bit last week, because Maggie and a bunch of her friends are doing a fantasy league. I said I want in on that, and so she sent me an invite last week, and I got all of my picks set up and everything, and my preferences for who I wanted in the draft, and all of that. So the website that we're using is fantasysurvivorgame.com. So it is I don't think you can start a new group now that the season has started, but it looks like this one has been going for a while, because like the rules page has like a key for new rules and changed rules, and nothing is new or changed. So I think they've like locked in their rules for the fantasy game. Although these rules do not take into account fire tokens. I think fire tokens are going to be really important. Okay. So fire tokens are a new element of the game. They can be used to buy stuff, and mainly that, but they're a type of currency. They might be used as literal bargaining chips in some cases. I guess we'll see how it all plays out down the road. And it also affects what goes on Edge of Extinction, because Edge of Extinction is back in play, but it is different now because everybody starts the game with 1 fire token. And I don't think any brand new fire tokens ever are produced. Or maybe they're... No, actually, yes, they are. No, they're not. None have been destroyed and none have been produced, because when somebody is voted off the island, they can go to Edge of Extinction. Everyone's going to choose Edge of Extinction. So I don't think there's even an option. I think it's like, yeah, go there. And then you can decide to give up after you get there or whatever. Because they didn't even have the sign with the choice. Instead, they had the layout of all the players that are still in the game. You choose who gets... You have to leave your fire token, or if you have multiple and you get voted out, you can leave multiple to somebody. And then you're off to Edge of Extinction. But on Edge of Extinction, you also are able to earn fire tokens, which... as it turns out, well, at least, I get to it so far. As it turns out, earning the fire token depended on being able to sell something to somebody who is still in the game. So there's still only, after everything that happened in this episode, there were still only 20 fire tokens in play. And that's going to put, that'll put a huge target on whoever's back, who is like really trusted by a lot of people, because if they're all voted out, they're going to be rooting for that person. They're going to be giving them all their fire tokens. And so you can assume that the person with the most of those, they're the most trusted, and they're the most likely ones to win, because it's very likely that the person who they trust, or the people who are giving them tokens, are also going to vote for them to win. Potentially, maybe, but also if just that person gets voted out, like right before the end, and they leave it to somebody else who was not a target at all or whatnot, then that could be a total game changer for them. And then I guess it could also mean that but maybe because of that, maybe they weren't liked by all the people. I don't know. We'll see how it all turns out. This is end game stuff. Getting way too far ahead of myself. But yeah, we're doing fantasysurvivorgame.com. How many teams do we have on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there's 11 of us in here. I do not know anybody in here except for Maggie and her boyfriend Jeff. I really like some of the tribe names. His is Jeff's is Rick Devon's Mamba Mentality. I like that one. Maggie, I helped her think of hers, or I just suggested it and she went with it. And I said, or actually I first suggested this in a translation into the Fiji language, or Fijian, whatever you call the language. And I sent it to her, and it was like 5 or 6 words. And you're like, what the heck is that? Because it was kind of nonsense at first glance. And I said, well, it's roughly translated to not Penny's boat from Lost. And that's what Charlie writes on his hand at the Through the Looking Glass part 2 or part 3, or I think that's what the episode name was. But anyway, so yeah, I like that one because I suggested it. My tribe name is Mark the Chicken, named after the chicken who's called Mark from Ty's first season. This is a really good one. Boston Rabbis. I like that. I forget what their real name is, but the name that they put on here is Dweedle. I don't know. Let's see. Other ones. It was mostly that one that I really liked. Oh, one is Justice for Siri. That's a good one. And then the other ones are seem like they're more inside jokes that I'm not on the inside of. But anyway, I think I did fairly well in this episode. So the draft, you pick your preference, like you rank all the players like who you want most. And I think they were my top 2 picks. I got Yul and Tyson. I was really happy about that. I'm really excited for them to be my draft picks. And then also my Soul Survivor pick, I was going to go with Yul, but because Maggie and Jeff both picked Yul, I thought I should do something different so that there's like a difference in scores. That could be all the difference, because the winner, if you pick the winner, then you get 15 points, and that could just, make up for everything else that happened in the game. Well, not entirely, but so I picked Sarah, and I was really pleased with Sarah in the first half of this episode. The second half, she didn't have as much to do, and the focus. Well, we'll get to that. Okay, so as they get to the beach, a bunch of them fall off of the boat as they're trying to get out of it. That was hilarious. But they start off by drinking some champagne, so it's already a very different season of Survivor, and then right there, while they get boated in. That's not the word for that. Sailed in. They get boat. No, they weren't sailboats. They were motorboats. They get shipped in. That's not right either. I think boated is boated. Boating. You go boat. Whatever. Anyway, they get boated in. One boat is full of all the guys. One boat is full of all the girls. And Jeff says, "Oh, you came in like this, but that's not how we play the game. Find out what your tribes are." So on Decal, the Red Tribe. All of my picks, all three of my fantasy picks, people I'm going to be rooting for all season are on here. So that makes it easy. I didn't decide this based on the episode. This is just, I'm like, this is who I'm rooting for. This is who I'm rooting for. Doesn't matter. I'll have like my dark picks of whatever, and that are, who I am also rooting for. But this fantasy game is very important now. So you have Tyson, Sophie, Sandra, Wendell, Yul, Sarah, Amber, Kim, Tony, and Nick on the Red Tribe. On the Sally, the Blue Tribe, we have Natalie, Danny, Jeremy, Ben, Michelle, Adam, Rob, Parvati, Denise, and Ethan. So I am really rooting for the Red Tribe, but I forgot how awesome Ethan is, and I think he is my number one non-fantasy league season pick. I really want to see him succeed. More, especially, all of my picks are on the Red Tribe, so he is my Blue Tribe pick. He's the one I want to see succeed out of all of them. Yeah, a little bit Jeremy. Jeremy's pretty cool. The rest of them, whatever. They're like, I hope they do well just so that Ethan and Jeremy can survive in the game. That's about it. But things aren't looking too good for that because okay. So this first challenge is for to win fire. And the losing tribe also, as in addition to not getting fire, they don't get rice until after their next the first tribal council. And this challenge is also for immunity. So this is the water ring and posts game where they have to. It's teams of two, and they have to get the ring off of a post and get it to their home post. And it's a lot of like wrestling, struggling, pushing, shoving, all of that. I really like this challenge as the first challenge of the season because they just get right up in each other's faces right away, and that's pretty exciting. My sole survivor pick, Sarah, just destroyed in this challenge. She scored 2 of the points for her tribe, with 2 different partners. She partnered with let's see. Well, first of all, Yul scored a point for his tribe with his teammate Tyson. I didn't write down who they were against. Doesn't matter. They won the point. And then Kim and Sarah teamed up. Now, technically, Kim did score the point, but I mean, she's part of that team there, so I think that counts a lot. Then the third point was scored by the Blue Tribe by Rob and Ben. Rob is a real powerhouse in this episode. I think he's might be going too hard too soon, possibly. And then Sarah and Amber scored the third point for their tribe, and so the Red Tribe is safe from immunity. The twist is tribal council isn't until the next night, so they have to go through the rest of that day and all the next day building their camps, all that, building their shelter and everything. The Blue Tribe knowing that they have to go to tribal council, so all the strategies, all the wheels are turning. Everybody's trying to get things going, and the target immediately turns to Adam and Denise, who go and try to find the water well, but they take way too long, and they're talking strategy, so everybody thinks, oh, well, they're the only ones not here. Let's get all up in their business. So I thought it was great that Denise was having flashbacks of losing every challenge, and then Adam is like, "I'll be your Malcolm," and then he's a Jungle Boy #2, and all that was great. And Tony, he's sticking around camping, he's like, "I'm on probation because I know you guys are going to be suspicious if I go anywhere." So that was fun. And then Amber, she's trying to go look for an idol, but she so far does not succeed in that. Meanwhile, over on the safe tribe, everybody's safe for now. You'll, having not been part of the social game of Survivor in the real world, like he doesn't hang out with other Survivor players, and he doesn't go to like the reality events and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't have pre-existing relationships with anybody in the game. Yeah, no, he hasn't played with any of these people. No, nobody else is from his season, Cook Islands, I think. Is that right? Or is it Pearl Islands? Which one is it? It's his season he won. So he's trying to analyze mainly this poker alliance with Amber, Kim, Rob, and Tyson, because they played a game of poker sometime last year or so, and during the game they mentioned something about being a power alliance if they were in the game again all together and all of that. So he's going off of that they are gonna team up, and that's gonna be trouble. But so he starts trying to like form together his army, as he calls it, and pulling in the other people who have this is their second time playing. They've only played one other season, whereas you have even on his tribe you have Tyson, who's played 2 seasons. Tyson, Sarah, Amber. Kim hasn't played 2 seasons, I don't think. I think this is her first time returning. Tony, all of them have played multiple seasons before, whereas the rest, he's trying to pull them together because they don't have those like kind of in-game existing relationships. Because in addition to 3 of the poker people are on this tribe, and then there's also Sarah, Sandra, and Tony, who all played together in Game Changers. So he sees them as a threat alliance as well, potential threat alliance. But anyway, over on the blue tribe, they're talking about, should it be Jeremy or Natalie? Between Jeremy and Natalie, break them up, or should it be Adam or Denise, because we got to break them up. And Rob and Parvati have this conversation like, why isn't anybody talking about us? Or like, don't feel worried at all. Does that mean that we're actually the targets? This is really weird. And I think one of them was like, are we being punked? I like that. That they're suspicious that something is going, like, maybe they're not on top of things, but they're also wise enough to know that they are on top of things, because neither of them get a single vote at tribal council. Everybody's nervous, all of that. Denise is really worried, especially I think it was Michelle, who seemed like she was having a really tough time, like kind of freaking out. Jeremy was really worried. He thought that Rob and Parvati were putting something together. As it turned out, they were, and they succeeded. So Denise got two votes. Adam got 1 vote. So they chose not to. Okay. So it seemed like they didn't choose to target Jeremy and Natalie, but Natalie received 7 votes and was eliminated. She goes to edge of extinction. She gives her token to Jeremy, and then she has an opportunity to earn another token. She gets a clue the next day. So I am jumping forward a little bit, but she gets a clue the next day. It says, go to the last place where you see the sunset. And so she goes to the highest point up there, and she finds the little thing. And it's not a fire token, but it's an immunity idol. And it's useless to her, but she can sell it to somebody in the game for a fire token. And she chooses Sandra. And Sandra says, hell yes, I'm definitely going to buy that. So she buys it. She has it. And if she thinks that she needs to use it, she's going to use it for sure. So Yul starts bringing more of these people and potentially brings on board Sandra to target the poker players, all that. So he's he's gathering quite the force there. Michelle feels really left out on her tribe. She had no idea what was going to happen. She voted for either Adam or Denise, not sure which. So she's having a hard time with that. Natalie, I already talked about that part. That's pretty exciting. So then they have the day 3 challenge, which had them paddling boats out, weaving in and out of some obstacles to go first untie a bag of puzzle pieces, or just tiles. I guess they technically were part of a puzzle, so they're puzzle pieces. Then they have to go, and everybody has to go across these 3 obstacles. The first obstacle, not too bad. They just have to climb a couple of crates and then jump off. The next one, they have to hurdle over a rotating barrel that's above the water. And so the teams have different strategies of how to overcome that obstacle. The blue tribe really struggle with it they struggle with it at first, but then Boston Rob, he figured out, okay, I'm just going to launch everybody over, just toss everybody over. So he's like, get on my shoulders, I'm going to throw you over. But then it got down to him and Jeremy were the only ones left, and it just was not, that strategy was not working. And Jeremy didn't think, well, I'll do the same for you, doing the other side. But luckily, I think it was Ethan is like, hey, I gotta get on your shoulders, and I'm gonna just reach over and then pull him over, and that strategy worked. They were able to make up a little bit of time, but then they also had to do a net crawl. Not as bad as the barrel thing, but by the time they got to the beach, the red tribe already had the hoops unlocked. So they used those tiles. There's 3 tiles with numbers on them. They had to do the combination to unlock the hoops, the rings, to throw onto the oars. And then the oars would they would change positions when you got the hoops on them. And the first to get all 3 of those oars with hoops on them wins the challenge. So it was looking really good for red. I think it was, let's see. Let's see. Oh, I didn't write down who got what. But it's notable that Sandra sat out for this challenge. She was really happy about doing that. Thought that was really funny. And Sarah, after they finished all of the obstacles and stuff, she did not have any. Well, most everybody didn't have any part in either the combinations or the hoop throwing. On the red tribe, it was who was doing it? Yul did the combo, and I think Tyson started throwing, but then he turned it over to Wendell. And Wendell, on his first try, he got the first one, but then he struggled. He didn't get any more after that. And so it was Jeremy who made the comeback for the other tribe, got all 3 rings onto the oars. They win. Dakal, the red tribe, heads to tribal council. So already I feel like this, I mean, I want red to win. I don't want anybody on red to be eliminated, but it's off to a pretty good start compared to some other seasons. Like the seasons where it's really one-sided, like right off the bat, and the other tribe never recovers, those can still be interesting character-wise, but challenge-wise and elimination-wise and tribal council-wise, it can become quite a bit of a bummer. So I am pretty happy that right off the bat, first episode, each tribe ends up going to tribal council. So we get a lot of screen time of both of them, and that's pretty great. I mean, we already know everybody. Well, in theory, we already know everybody. So we don't have to spend as much time introducing them and all that kind of stuff. But it is interesting that so many of them are parents now. So that's a big bonding point between a lot of them. Like Parvati, who just had her child 10 months before coming onto the show. That's pretty crazy. And then of course, Rob and Amber, they have four daughters, and then Tyson and his kids. Kid, does he have one or multiple? I'm not sure, but and then bonding about that, and then Sarah has her son. Is like Sarah and Amber are like bonding over that, and then Tyson's like, oh, well, he made one of those things where they tear off a thing like for Christmas, but they tear off a daisy chain, so you tear off one for each day, and that's how he, all that kind of stuff. So it was interesting seeing all that. It's also interesting this season has the highest average age of any season of Survivor so far. It's not by much. It's by like a tenth of a year, but it's still a true statistic. It might be a little bit closer or a little bit further away if you went by how many days old they were like at the start of the game, as opposed to just like 36, 40, 57, or nobody's 57 on this season, I don't think. I wonder. Let's see. No, I don't have the page filled up. An interesting thing. If you can go and look at the stats of each player on Fantasy Survivor game, as like the game relevant stats, the fantasy game relevant stats, and one of the things on each Survivor contestant on their individual page says how many people playing this game picked them, like site-wide, picked them as their sole survivor. The number one is Yule, because I went through and looked at every single stat. Number one is Yule. 1,184 players chose Yule. It would have been 1,185 if I had gone with my original pick. I did actually like submit that, and then I changed it afterwards. Second place, Wendell, 1,000. Oh wait, 1,000. Yeah, 1,182. Only 2 more people chose Yule than who chose Wendell. That's pretty cool, pretty interesting. I think Tyson is in third place with 981. I'm just going through all of them real quick. I don't think anybody else even came close. Yeah, he's the only one in the 900s. And then a bunch of people chose Ben. And then the least people chose Danny. How many people chose Danny? 178. So at least you're still in the triple digits. So there are some people who really believe in her. So that's good. That's good. It is really interesting to see the mix. This is the first time that we've really seen this kind of mix of pre-idol players, hidden immunity idol players, and now I think that's like the real turning point. Yul is right on the cusp because he's in the first season with an actual immunity idol, hidden immunity idol. But his had very different rules than it did for all after that, because he could play it after the vote. I think that was the main difference. So that made it, you couldn't trick somebody into playing it at that point, because they would know that they had to play it after the votes were already read. So that's an interesting aspect of his season. So I think his season is the last of, I would say his season is the last of the old school. And then everything after that is maybe considered new school, but really everything since, oh gosh. I think that's definitely a turning point, but there's a turning point after that also, where things got even evolved much more. Like, cause yeah, the hidden immunity idols are so common now that's not like a defining feature. That was not like a huge game changing feature. I'd have to think about that one. There's probably been a general online consensus of what the second turning point in Survivor history is. But anyway, let's see. So that challenge was really good. I like that challenge a lot. You'll right back at Cammy. He says, "All right, well, let's just be civilized. If we want to talk to each other, let's just like say it." And then Tony says, "That'll be a first." So that's like a real clear difference between old school and new school. But it seemed like the target should be Sandra or Nick, or maybe it's Tony, or maybe it's Tyson, or maybe it's Kim. So talk about everybody. Tyson finds out about the Poker Alliance threat, and he says to Yule, and I think it was Nick. Says to Yule and Nick, look, I'm with you guys if you want to work with me. The Poker Alliance isn't a thing. It doesn't matter. I don't care about them at all. I'll get them out of here right now. Like, we don't have to vote. I'll just put them on a raft. He doesn't say anything like that, but he does say that Yule gets him. When Yule gets him on board, he says like, yeah, I'll go with this pokey poisonous embrace if it means I can keep going in the game. So we have Tribal Council number 2. This is on day 3. So this is already just day 3 of the game, and they're having their second Tribal Council. That's pretty cool. But Sandra says that Amber needs to keep up or get out of the way, when Amber's just like, I'm like a calm person, all that kind of thing. So the vote comes, there all kinds of conversation. I forget any specific, I didn't write down specific notes or anything, but it did come a lot to like, if this poker thing is an actual thing. And Kim is freaking out. She's like, we played poker for 3 hours. It doesn't mean anything at all. It's like it was just poker banter. And if she really wanted to go for it, she could have said like, I was only saying that stuff so that I could fool them, so that I could, well, maybe that would work against her. I don't know. That you can't trust her. But somebody could have played to that, saying like, we're playing poker. Of course we're going to say like, oh, we can work together so we can trust each other because I'm trying to trick them in the game of poker. But anyway, and they didn't even talk about who won that poker game. I wonder who did win that poker game. I'm going to look it up. Let's see. Okay, so I did look up this episode. So the episode is on YouTube. Survivor Champions Battle for Real Money, Season 1, Episode 10 of Poker Night Live. So on Poker Night in America. So there's another person in this alliance. Okay, so Amber wasn't playing poker in here, but she's obviously with Rob whenever they end up actually together, because they're not on the same tribe. But they weren't talking at all about Jeremy. They were talking about Rob and Amber and Kim and Tyson, but there's like no mention of Jeremy after like the first explaining of it. So Jeremy seems to be flying on the radar as far as this potential poker alliance goes. But I cannot tell. I don't think anybody. Let's see. I don't think anybody actually won. I couldn't tell. I think they continued playing after this or something. I don't know. Who won? It like ends before there's a winner. And they all have chips in front of them. So I don't think there ended up being an actual winner. I don't know. But yeah, what was I getting at? That was the main discussion during Tribal Council. And where are my notes? They're over here. We get to the vote. Sandra does not play her idol, and she didn't receive any votes. Good call on that one. It's insane that she was not the first target. Like, get her out of there. What are you guys doing? Get her out. But there's another equally big threat. There are three, like, really, there's only 3 people who've technically won $2 million in Survivor before. And the prize this season is $2 million. So these are the people that you don't want to also win another $2 million. Because Rob and Amber together, they've won the top prize twice. And Sandra alone has won the top prize twice. So you don't need to double their efforts. Let everybody else triple their efforts. Or anybody else triple their efforts. So I guess tripling it is even worse. Technically. But anyway, Nick receives 1 vote. Kim receives 3 votes. And she was really weird because nobody was talking to her at camp and everything. I was a little bit feeling bad for her, but a lot of people on the fantasy tribes, well, not a lot of people, like 2 people picked her for their teams. Or got her for their draft picks. But anyway, yeah, Kim was really, really worried because nobody is talking to her, and she's like, I guess this is how it feels to not be calling the shots and all that, because there was no point in Worlds Apart that she was not the one calling the shots. So it's completely different for her. So she gets 3 votes, but Amber gets 6 votes. She's voted off. But she's still in the game over on Edge of Extinction, so there's a chance. And if she does have a chance, she's gonna be sending everything over to Rob, like as much as possible for sure. Starting with giving her fire token to Rob. So that's where we end the episode. I did not watch the preview for next week because it's always after commercial break. As I was watching it live, and I was like, turn the channel, whatever. I don't need to watch even more commercials. So I don't know what's going to happen next week at all. I did not watch the preview, and I think that will continue. I will continue to not do that. Well, maybe not. I'm going to change it up next week already because I'm not going to be able to watch next week's episode as it airs. So if you didn't listen to my episode about Raw this week, I am, for the most part, going to be watching Survivor live every week, and hopefully get the episode up as soon as possible. Not as soon as possible, but like that later that evening and all of that, as opposed to before this week I had been watching NXT as it aired, but I decided to unsubscribe, or I put my Sling subscription on hold, which is how I would watch NXT. But I still have my CBS All Access, which has CBS live TV. So that's the only channel. Well, I guess there's also the news channels and stuff on there, but that's the only channel that I have that I can watch live. I would have other network channels if I hooked up an antenna to my TV, but I haven't done that. So for the next 12 weeks or however many weeks Survivor is, Survivor is my top watch priority for Wednesday nights. So I'm really excited for the season. I love the season already. I even if I wasn't doing the fantasy league, I probably would still pick these 3 people to root for. Tyson, Yul, and Sarah. Sarah is one of my favorites female players of all Survivor. I can't really even think of anybody that I like. I like Aubrey. So I think I maybe like Aubrey a little bit more, but I can't even think of anybody else. And then Tyson, Yul, of course I like them, but I forgot how great Wendell is. I really, really like him. And if I couldn't pick either Tyson or Yul, Wendell would be my next choice there. But like I said, I really, really like Ethan. He's awesome, and I am 100% rooting for him over on the Blue Tribe. Once things merge, we'll see how things go. Then I say, okay, get rid of everybody except for Tyson and Yul. Then I'll be good. And Sarah. Keep those if they're the final 3, I am doing real good. But we'll see how all this goes. The fire tokens is going to be a really interesting thing. I think it was Adam who was talking about that. I think this is going to play into the game really importantly. I'm gonna like kind of be focused on that a little bit. So it's cool to see some of the people really picking up on that, and Sandra's like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna get that immunity idol. So there is one hidden immunity idol in play right now, and it belongs to Sandra, and she's not telling anybody about it at all. There's no way she's telling anybody that she has that. And I love it that she's just I didn't write this in my notes, so I forgot about this. She is just betraying. I mean, she's telling everybody what everybody else is saying. She doesn't care at all. She's making stuff up too. So like that's a great. Sandra's gonna friggin' win this again. I could see it happening now, but she's putting so much truth in there with made up stuff that like it's kind of the opposite of covert ops type of thing, where you have enough of it that seems true, or you have enough of that seems ridiculous, that the true stuff also gets dismissed as ridiculous. It's like the opposite of that there's so much that's true that you also believe the stuff that isn't true, because it like everything else is so solid. So I appreciate that. I think Sandra could win. But if Sandra wins, then that means Maggie's drafts of I don't think she gets extra points for the draft. I'm not sure how the rules exactly work, but I'm sure it will her getting all the way to the end, she's going to earn a lot of points, I'm sure. But so that's the only reason I wouldn't want Sandra to do well, is so that I end up getting more points in the fantasy league because my picks are doing better. But yeah, that's it. Who are you rooting for? Are you doing fantasy leagues? All of that. This is my first time doing this because it always occurs to me like after the season's already started, or like 5 minutes before it starts. It's too late to arrange anything. I don't know enough people to get in on that with me leading the charge. So I'm glad that Maggie and her friends, they got something started so I can be a part of that kind of. So anyway, I'm really excited for the rest of the season. I wish it was already next Wednesday so I could see. Like 2 hours? Is 2 hours tonight not enough? I want to keep watching. I want to see more, but I'll have to wait till next week. We all will. So yeah, let me know what you thought about this episode, who you're rooting for, who your picks are, who you want to get voted off next. I think, okay, this. I don't feel so bad because all of these people have won the show before, so I don't feel as bad saying like, oh, they're the next to go for sure. Not that I don't think I felt really that bad about saying that in past seasons either, but I think on the Red Tribe, I think the next person to go, as far as, I mean, the next person to go should be Sandra, and the next person to go on Blue should be Rob, but that's probably not going to happen for whatever reason, especially though I keep winning challenges. I think they're going to see Rob as, well, he's going to run out of steam at some point, I think. But on the Red Tribe, I think that's a tough one. Red is so solid. I feel like Sophie is the most expendable. Maybe? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I did say who got voted. Amber got voted out. Over on Blue, I think Danny or Michelle are going to be the next ones to go. But we'll find out. They need to get rid of Sandra and Rob. Get rid of Sandra and Rob. Get rid of Sandra and Rob. Like, I like them both a lot. It would be really entertaining to have them on the entire seasons again. But get rid of them. You're not going to win if they're in the final three with you. They're going to win. They're like, you have to respect their being able to get to the last one. But then again, that might be the strategy. If it's me and Rob and Sandra, they've got to vote for me because I've only won one time. And these two, their families have $2 million already from Survivor. But anyway. Okay, I keep making this episode longer and longer. So, tweet me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. Stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses. And I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.